Hello and welcome back to the MLB DFS Slate breakdown for Friday, August 18th. We are back. We had a little baby slate yesterday. It was supposed to be a 4-game, got knocked down to 3 games. So we will go over the perfect lineups and the winning lineups of that. We will then go over the huge slate we have today with pitching ownership, pitchers to consider, followed by stack ownership and stacks to consider here. So before we get into it, come join us at LineStar. It is only $29.99 per month. It gets you access to everything we have, all the sports we cover, all of the DFS, the tools, optimizers, projections, consensus projections, ownership projections, everything. It also gets you Props AI Plus, which has been great and is winning lots of people money lately. So let's get into the fun. Come join us. That is the moral of the story. And if you do join us, come get involved in chat. It's a good time. And there are a lot of people in there that are really willing to help, new people to the site, new people to DFS, whatever it may be. People are very helpful in there. All right. Now, yesterday's perfect lineup, as we said, 1 game was postponed, so it turned into a 3-game slate. But we had Quintana and Burns. We did talk about both, and they absolutely crushed and got it done here. So we do have a little Cardinal stack and a little Mets stack to make the perfect lineup. In the winning lineup, we had JBC with that combination of pitchers. And then he had a, 3-man Arizona stack? Yeah, 3-man Arizona stack, 2-man Mets, 2-man San Diego, and then a one-off with Milwaukee that Frelick just got it done yesterday with 3 stolen bases, got him in it. So JBC won by a decent margin. Now let's get over to FanDuel. All right, so Corbin Burns, no surprise. Mets, little Diamondback stack there. And the winning lineup on FanDuel, JCP70 took it home. And he had a 3-man Mets, 2-man Milwaukee, 2-man Cardinal stack. Got it done. Congrats to the winners. Let's get into today's slate. Let's get into some fun. All right, so 13-game slate. There's a lot of different ways to go on this slate. It is a big slate. We got some real nice hitting weather kind of sprinkled around as well. Boston, New York, fairly warm, but winds are real hard going straight up to center. Atlanta, pretty normal Atlanta right now. Warm, winds gently out to center. And then we got to bring up this spot here in Colorado where it is very warm and the winds are blowing out. Game total of 12 is very high, so you also have that elevation there. Makes sense that a lot of people are going to be going to this game, and it's warm in Los Angeles for the Angels Stadium. All right, ownership-wise, no surprise. We got Spencer Strider, highest owned guy, 12.7K. He is super expensive, but look, there is nobody with the floor and ceiling combo that he has. Just makes his medium projection so much higher than everybody else, over and over and over again. At 12.7K to be a 2x projection, tells you all you really need to know. He's a great pitcher. He's in a good spot. Umpire isn't that great for him today, which is a little bit of a bummer, but all in all, I will not try and talk you off of Strider. He's in a great spot, solid combined K rate. His floor is super high. He's just expensive. So, there might be other spots we can go to save some money and still have some upside. One of them, Pablo Lopez. Lopez has been pitching absolutely insane lately. 2.58 FIP over his last 5. 29% K rate. The combined K rate's 29% due to the fact that Pittsburgh strikes out so much versus righties. So, I like the spot for him. Pittsburgh isn't great as far as hitting the ball. He's done well versus Pitt in the past. I think it's a good spot, and you're talking about 2,100K less than Strider. You're obviously not playing Strider and Lopez together. If you are, good luck filling out the rest of your roster. But I don't mind, pivoting down to Lopez off Strider and saving the money. I think you can probably make up the projection difference just based on being able to pay up for more hitters. Next, we got Seth Lugo. Seth Lugo is very cheap, so I understand why people are going there in that aspect. However, I don't love his outlook versus the Diamondbacks. One, he has struggled lately, 4.79 FIP. He has a little bit of a K upside, 24% at 7.5K is not bad at all, but Diamondbacks are just a decent offense, solid offense versus righties, decent WOBA, good ISO. Lugo has struggled at home. I think that he's just getting a little bit too owned. Kyle Gibson next, 8,200, 2.1x. I think Gibson's in a really good spot. We have that Oakland matchup that we all love. Oakland does hit righties hard, but their WOBA's low, their K rate is solid. So I think his floor in this situation is pretty high, and he has recently shown some real nice upside, especially at 8,200. So Gibson is very interesting. Bello, look, he hasn't been that great lately, and there is big time hitting weather in New York, so I don't really love going to Bello today. Heaney's been pitching great lately. He has a decent matchup. He's a lefty, so the matchup's bad. Milwaukee actually hits lefties very hard. 229 ISO, 350 WOBA. Doesn't strike out a lot. Heaney has been good lately. 3.84 FIP, but still only a 24% K rate, and we have an 18.8% combined K rate today. So I don't really love Heaney's upside today. Gonsolin's another one where I don't love his upside. He just doesn't have, the strikeout stuff. He faced Colorado last time, had strikeout stuff, but it was Colorado. So, Skubal. I think Skubal's interesting. Cleveland is not good versus lefties. He went 94 pitches last time out, so he's pretty much fully stretched out. He's a solid pitcher, 2.15 FIP. I think he's really interesting because Guardians aren't very great versus lefties. JB France is okay. Woodruff is definitely somebody that people will pivot to pivot off of Lopez and Strider, and he's been really good lately. Solid combined K rate, 26%, 30% K rate for him. He is versus Texas, and he's been struggling away a little bit. But all in all, he's been very good lately, so I get why you want to go there. But I also understand why we have 1.7x projection on him and not, 2+ like some of the other higher pay-up options. Outside of that, I think you could go to Gavin Williams, who LineStar absolutely loves today. And Tigers they're just not a great offense. They do hit righties okay, but they also strike out a lot. And Williams has just been great lately. 2.47 FIP, 34% K rate, combined K rate of 29. He is 9K, so that salary has came up big time. That is why he is so low owned. The other thing to worry about is he's only averaging 87 pitches over his last 5 starts and only 89 this year. So there is a little bit of limited upside here, and I do not expect another 10 or 12K outing. I would say he's more in that 6 to 8 range, which could very well pay off his salary still. So that'll pretty much do it for DraftKings today. Let's get over to FanDuel's ownership. Strider, at 41%, he is much cheaper on FanDuel, and the difference between him and Lopez is noticeable. So, with the more ownership at Strider, I, wouldn't mind going down to Lopez, but with that salary savings and just how much more Strider is projected for, I'm probably still going Strider over Lopez. But with Strider, I will absolutely take some different stacks and have some different lineup construction than the higher stacked teams. Woodruff getting a little ownership over here. Cheaper than the two other guys, and, he's a great pitcher. So makes a lot of sense there. Haven't talked about Tyler Anderson, but Tampa Bay strikes out a lot versus lefties. They haven't been a great offense versus lefties. Anderson's been pitching better lately, 3.63 FIP. 21% K rate, so there is some upside here. 24% combined K rate at 7,300 is a little interesting. Kyle Gibson's a little interesting. And that's pretty much it. There's pitching's, a little weak here today, especially with this big of a slate. So I'm not going to 10.2K Lorenzen or 10K Alcantara. So yeah, that'll do it for that. And now let's get into DraftKings. Let's get into some stacks. Whenever it wants to load. There we go. Right as I hit refresh, huh? That's how it always happens. Maybe I should have restarted my computer before doing the show today. All right, here we go. All right. So, highest owned, we got 90% is on the White Sox. 5-man stack with 13 games and 90% owned is kind of getting pretty high owned. There is a chance it even goes higher than that. Lambert, isn't a great pitcher. Their bullpen isn't very good. Good hitting weather. Makes a lot of sense that a lot of people are going here. So I'm really not surprised whatsoever that they are absolutely all over the ownership. Now, what I will say is if I'm going to do a White Sox stack, I'm probably going to do one of these lower owned ones. As I think, getting a little different with the stack is probably the way to go. Another higher owned is Colorado, which is lower owned than the White Sox. So I am actually inclined to go Colorado over White Sox today. I think they are the better situation. I think it's just the better hitting environment. I don't think Kopech is a great pitcher, and he gives up some really hard contact, and what we want home runs and extra base hits, and that's what Kopech allows. So I like Colorado over the White Sox. Minnesota versus Andre Jackson. They are interesting. Jackson is a decent pitcher, but he's not going to go very far. 3-4 innings probably max, and I think you can absolutely get to the Pittsburgh bullpen Don't mind going to Minnesota. Don't love it. Now, our highest projected is Atlanta versus Alex Cobb. So once again, we have good hitting weather in Atlanta. One thing I do have to warn with all these Atlanta stacks is they're all super expensive. So understand that you're going to have to pay down with pitching with those if you want to play them. There are some little bit cheaper ones, though, that you can do. 26K, 25K, and I would probably be focusing on those just so you can have a little bit more of a balanced lineup than so heavy on the Braves stars. Now, Braves are a great offense, but they're so pricey that they really have to put up 10 runs if you're going to have a full, 5-man stack of them. Next, we got Houston popping up a little bit versus Bryce Miller. Miller has fallen off a little bit lately, 5.18 FIP over his last 5, 3.86 over the last 20. White Sox are popping up. We talked about them. Texas versus Woodruff. That's a leverage stack. Woodruff isn't very high owned, but Texas is super low owned. And they are absolutely good enough to break the slate as far as an offense. And they're good enough to get to any pitcher. As well as the Dodgers. Dodgers are good enough to get to any pitcher. Alcantara generally doesn't give up a ton of runs. So you have that working against you. But I think the Dodgers are an offense that are always in play. Value-wise. So we're going to have a ton of White Sox here for sure. Also have Minnesota. Cleveland popping up against Matt Manning. I think that's very interesting. Matt Manning isn't that great of a pitcher. Cleveland has a lot of guys that are kind of just pesky. Get on base, can steal bases, or have a little power. So Cleveland is a nice little stack there if you're trying to save some money. Pittsburgh's popping up a little bit versus Pablo Lopez, and that's going to be a leverage stack because Pablo Lopez is so high owned, so that's a little interesting from a game theory perspective. And now let's check out ceiling. Ceiling, we do know that it was showing Atlanta a little bit. Atlanta all over the top ceiling. No surprise here. Now, there's a few teams that aren't popping up that we really need to talk about here today. And understand that when this is happening where they're not popping up, you probably have to force them in a little bit. So, like those players, to get them more into the lineup and do different things to make the optimizer get them in. So Colorado. I think Colorado, they have the highest implied run total on the slate, but yet they weren't the highest owned team. That was the White Sox. So I think Colorado is very interesting. The Angels are very interesting. There's decent hitting weather. Ramirez isn't that great of a pitcher. Tampa Bay, they struggle versus lefties, but Tyler Anderson has also struggled all year. Talked about the Braves. Cardinals, still kind of waiting for what the Mets are going to do pitching-wise, but they are always a little interesting. Philadelphia. Adon is not a great pitcher. The bullpen isn't very good for Washington, and so I think it makes a lot of sense to go to Philadelphia, who will be super low owned. Boston versus Brito. So Brito's likely not to work super deep into the game. He also hasn't been great, 5.45 FIP. The Yankees bullpen is solid, but we also have very good hitting weather in New York today, so I don't mind that one either. And where are the Yankees on here? So Yankees are going against Brian Bello, who was really good to start the season, but he has fallen off big time lately, and 6.11 FIP is just not very good. Their bullpen is okay, not great. So I think the Yankees are a very interesting stack. I think both Boston and New York, both big and small stacks, I think, are interesting there, and nobody's really going there with as good of hitting weather there is. Padres versus Brandon Pfaff. Brandon Pfaff has not been great. He has been pitching better since he's been recalled into the major league, but look, the Arizona bullpen's not very good. Padres get to Pfaff, they could really get to Arizona. And honestly, their Padres are a must win. They have to win the next two versus Arizona to even have a chance. Baltimore, it's going to be versus Luis Medina. We do not know if there's going to be an opener prior to Medina, though, but we do know the bullpen is bad, and Medina's not great himself. So I think they make, a lot of sense as well. So a lot of different ways we can go today. Colorado White Sox are definitely the favorite stacks wise, but they always are when it's in Colorado. Atlanta, same thing. It's an obvious one. I really think that Angels are going under-owned. Boston is going under-owned. Padres are going under-owned. Yankees are going under-owned. Philadelphia is going under-owned. So I think there's a lot of different ways we can attack this slate. So you figure out which way you like, and I will see you guys next week. Good luck. Let's win some money. Please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Have a good one, guys. Bye.